Aaron Dykes here with Infowars.com and what I might dub Operation Inheritance, a move to get the word out in a viral activist campaign about the potential genetic Armageddon or genetic genocide, humanity's greatest threat. Alex and I have just done a very important video today. We want to get it out and hope it's one of the most seen videos ever on the internet. But don't stop there. You write your own articles, make your own videos. These topics are too important, and we have to figure out how a bunch of private cartel corporations are strong-arming us through GMO technology to take control of the planet, and at the very least to put a lucrative patent on things, at the very most further down the line to depopulate us. Earlier today I did a video called GM Human Hybrids Pose Future Market for Organs, Babies, and Pharmaceuticals and more. It's all about how they're going to use these human-animal clones that are transgenically mutated in order to create patented specific products, whether it be organs, whether it be artificial life, whether it be certain drugs or certain synthetic proteins, all that these GMO companies have written and therefore get to profit off of, and anyone who's caught up in the dragnet has to at least pay them or suffer the terrible consequences we know exist for GMO crops and GMO animals, that they pose sterility. Sometimes it doesn't even show up until the second or third generation, which is way too late if we're talking about humans who reproduce, roughly at 20-year intervals, maybe 18, 16-year intervals. Point being, there's a big for-profit scheme going on that's also devastating to the human race, how they're using these biotech crops, so-called farming, for pharmaceuticals. But there's another important profit scheme also going on with GMOs, and that is this article from earlier in July. Monsanto and the Gates Foundation push GE crops on Africa. It's a total scheme that we also have to expose. The Gates Foundation is teamed up with the Rockefeller Foundation and Monsanto, as well as other big cartel companies who literally came from IG Farben, from the Nazi era, which also had American and other European collaborators. We're talking about Bayer, BASF. All these companies still work together. They all sit annually at the Bilderberg meeting, and they're trying to force GMO crops on Africa, which they happen to hold the patents to. It gets worse than that. The Gates Foundation has been accused of being a Trojan horse, opening the door for private agribusiness and genetically engineered seeds. We're talking about drought-resistant crops that they're going to give to Africa, so-called water-efficient maize, for which the patent is held by Monsanto. Also working with them is Syngenta, another biotech and big agro, big pharma company based in Switzerland, who also sit at the Bilderberg meeting. But there's more going on here, because the Gates Foundation gives money to the Rockefeller Foundation, and the Rockefeller Foundation reciprocates and gives money to the Gates Foundation. They're linked up. Just as the Rockefeller Foundation pushes vaccines worldwide, the Gates Foundation is all over Africa, hoping to get everyone vaccinated and reduce the population by 15%. Now the Gates Foundation is involved in pushing GMO crops, which are also a depopulation weapon. You heard about it in the 70s under Kissinger, how food is now a weapon, how they want to depopulate the third world, naming a number of specific countries in Africa targeted for depopulation. That memo talks about withholding food from countries, withholding distribution of food for those that don't meet population reduction quotas. Now we see a different form of withholding food, another form of food as a weapon, and that is these Trojan horse GMO crops, genetically engineered to sterilize, give cancer, and depopulate. Meanwhile, they're being forced on Africa as if it's part of a, quote, new green revolution, as if it's to save and feed Africa. Now, it happens to be the case that the Rockefeller Foundation was behind the original Green Revolution in the 70s, which, for all the good it may have done, allowed the Rockefeller Foundation to hold a great monopoly over the whole deal. But there's still more. Not only is Rockefeller and Gates Foundation involved with Monsanto, but we have the Gates Foundation having ties with Monsanto directly. They hold stock in the company, and it's also tied in with BSF and Bayer, as we mentioned. Now there's another organization called AGRA, that stands for, that stands for the Alliance for, well, anyway, it's part of this Green Revolution. It was set up by the Rockefeller Foundation and the Gates Foundation. I'm sorry, it's called the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa. It's set up to, quote, boost hunger, but again, by letting in these private companies. Now let's look at Michael Taylor. He used to be a key lawyer for Monsanto. Then, because of the revolving door, he was invited into the Obama administration in the very position of regulation over genetically modified crops. Instead of protecting us, he's making sure that anything and everything from Monsanto and their allied companies is approved. He's the Deputy Commissioner for Foods under the Food and Drug Administration. But there's more. When Taylor was appointed in 2009 under the Obama administration, they approved at the same time through the G8 mechanism a pledge for $20 billion to fight Africa over the next 3 years. But that money would all be run through the AGRA Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, and these other mechanisms that have been set up to directly benefit companies, including Monsanto. Total conflict of interest, but who's paying attention to that? Furthermore, Michael Taylor, the Monsanto man, wrote the papers for this project at the Resources for Future think tank, where he published documents which were directly funded by the Rockefeller Foundation. So you can see how Rockefeller and Gates Foundations, who also own the seed vaults in the Arctic, who also own hurricane steering companies, really are getting a monopoly over life forces that take place in Africa and other parts around the world. If you're selling GMO crops, who's to say it wouldn't be beneficial to incite a little drought that year? Or if there's a huge flood to come in and have GMO persistent crops specifically tailored for those situations, all owned with a patent which gives them royalties from Monsanto, companies like Syngenta, which is the Swiss agri company, which also sits at Bilderberg, just discussing these conflicts of interest that they're pushing on Africa. Something else I wanted to let you know about. But again, we really want to get the word out and make it one of the most seen videos. The one that Alex and I did today, Genetic Armageddon, Humanity's Greatest Threat, all about the issues with cloning and the patents on life by the big pharma companies. You better find out what's going on and start that revolution on your own. Operation Inheritance. If we don't take back that inheritance, the globalists are going to take it from us and depopulate this planet. Stay tuned at Infowars.com for more.